Recently I made these textured papers using my jelly plate and some botanicals, and if you'd like to know what I'm going to do with them, then carry on watching and all will be revealed. Those of you who've watched my channel before know that I really enjoy using my textured papers and putting them into these little 6-inch squares. I've made this template using cardstock, and to get the shape I've just cut round, or drawn round I should say, and then cut out a post-it note. So very rough, but it's not anything that's got to be precious and absolutely perfect. Well, not in my book anyway. So these are some of the little 3-inch squares that I've made, and you'll be able to see these on my channel. I show you how I've made the papers and what I've done with them. So these are my last ones, and what I'm going to do is put my template down and just draw around it. So really it's as simple as that. The other good reason for making this template is that you can move it round so that you can see areas that you particularly like, and once you've spotted that area you can get your pencil or whatever you have to hand and draw around it to isolate that little square. Get scissors or whatever you have handy to cut, and then very hand-fistedly, because I'm not as close to it as I'd like to be. There you go. So there we have the first square. And what I'm going to do now is just to find other areas on here that I like, and then these will be put down into the remaining squares. As you can see, I've already cut these out now, and these will go into the squares that I've drawn round previously, and you can decide how you want these to go, or you can move them around. You could swap things out. So those are the first ones that I've laid down, and this was on tissue paper. So what will happen is a lot of this will go transparent when I put it down. But what I do want to say at this point is that this is one of the simplest way of using your textured papers. Obviously there are many ways of doing collage, where you actually rip the papers up, or you will cut them into strips, like this one here, where I've cut them and punched holes in them to make them into various different shapes to go into my 3-inch squares. Or this, for example, where I tear them off. People who are a little bit new to doing collage, they say to me that they're a little bit frightened of doing that, of tearing or cutting. So what I'm trying to show is that once you've done your textured paper using your jelly plate, and in this case I've used botanicals, or, well, I call them botanicals, they're actually weeds, but you know, it's plant based. Once you've got this, you don't need to start ripping things up or tearing or cutting and trying to piece things together. You can simply cut out the squares using a template like this, and then you can find the areas that you like and put them into your book. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get this and do exactly the same process again. I'm not going to film myself cutting these out because I think you know exactly how I would do that. So I'll get on and cut these squares out, and then I'll come back to you and let's see what happens next. Well, I've cut these out and now I've got another 6 little squares. So I can decide how I want to arrange them. I can move them around and find a nice pattern. If I don't want to have all the same tones, what I can do is I can change them by using the others, and because they are both put together using Payne's Grey, they should sit quite nicely together. So I could do something like that, which would be a difference. And obviously I've got these here that I can do a second page. I've also ripped some of the offcuts up. I can do the same here with the offcuts of the tissue paper. So I can rip pieces off, and these pieces here can be put onto the darker ones, and I can put one of the more solid colours onto this here. So there's lots of things that I can do. I can just leave it as it is, or I can put some more embellishment on with the little offcuts that I've taken from the 2 sets of texture papers that I've made. So there's lots of things you can do. There's lots of things. Or you can just leave it as it is and not embellish it, just leave it just as like that. The other thing I did was I found another set of papers that I made in one of my last videos, and these are very, very pale colours. I think it's the ghost print from, again, Botanicals. Oh, there it is. So these are very, very faint, and I found some pieces of paper, textured paper that I've made over the years, and if I wanted to really make this sing a little bit more, I could rip these up. This is actually the roll-off paper, so it's nothing that I actually went about creating. These are just offcuts, or offcuts from a roll off. So you can see there that that could make quite an interesting page, just with using bits and pieces that you've had hanging around for some time. I'm just not really concentrating on where these are going. They're just I'm just ripping them and sticking them down. But I think you get the idea. It's once you start to do this, it's very, very addictive. So there you have some ideas for your jelly plate textures that you have made. So we have these here, which are the ghost print of botanicals, and here are some more which I've talked about today. So I hope you have a go at this. You don't have to have an A4 book like this. You can have a small A4 book. Yeah, this is A4. You could have a small A5 book or a little square book. It's entirely up to you what you want to do, but I do encourage you to do this because it stops you having mountains of paper just hanging around or throwing them in the bin to go to landfill. At least when I look at this in years to come, I'll be able to remember how much I enjoyed sharing this with you, and hopefully pass it on to my family so that they will know what Mum and Grandma did as she was getting older. So that said, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. So bye for now. Bye bye.